G'day guys, Mac with the Outer Circle, and today we're going to be looking at the Death Guard in this episode of Getting Started in the Horus Heresy. So, Death Guard, they also make pretty good use of this box, just like the last two legions we've looked at. Obviously the World Eaters to a lesser degree, the Ultramarines to a heavy degree, and these guys to pretty much a perfect degree. So even when it comes down to the characters, this guy looks very similar to the Lord of Contagion. Same pose, just flipped, and he's not in Terminator armor, but it doesn't matter. Works perfectly fine. Then this guy, yeah, okay, not the greatest, but as usual, we'll get back to him. So, Liber Hereticus. This is the rules you're going to need if you want to play this army. The Liber Hereticus will have Death Guard rules for both Loyalist and Traitor. The difference is the smell. Moving on from there. The Death Guard Legion transfer sheet, a pretty damn good transfer sheet. This is actually the second transfer sheet they got in the Horus Heresy, similar to the Iron Hands. They had a sheet, it got discontinued, got replaced with this one. And they both had their place. If you can get a hold of the old one, it's got some really neat stuff on it. It's a very handy sheet. This one is the nicer looking of the sheets, but the iconography on it is a little bit more lacking. For example, on the left-hand side, you'll see there's scythes of different kinds, but it comes in like sets of 6. Well, 6 is not even the sacred number of Nurgle, 7 is. And 6 is also a really weird number in the Horus Heresy because the minimum squad size for Tactical Marines, for example, is 10. Terminators is going to be 5s. Characters, who knows what. But 6 is just an odd choice. The Destroyer symbols, for example, Destroyers are squads of usually 10. But you've only got 5 of the symbols of each type. So a bit of a bizarre transfer sheet in that regard. Almost worth just buying 2 of them if you're going to commit to it. So, upgrading the miniatures. Well, I'd say Typhon is actually a go-to for most people. And the reason I do say that is because you're not taking them just as Typhon, the special character of the Death Guard. Callous Typhon, who eventually becomes Typhus in 40k, is a cataphracti armoured Death Shroud power scythe wielding unit with a hand flamer, which means he is perfectly suited to joining the squad of cataphracti that come in this box set. So, good start right there. Then, Death Guard Legion upgrade set heads. Use them, utilise them. The bear head is especially creepy looking, the one on the left. It just looks sickly, just the way the eyes are sculpted. I'd be putting that onto this body. And, this guy probably gets away with the head he's got almost, with the rebreather on it. But yeah, for this guy in particular, I'd be going for the creeped out, bald-headed guy with the sunken eyes on the left. Just the Steve Buscemi and the Bane mask look. Ugh. As for the rest of the army, obviously Death Guard players in general don't really like Mark 6. I think it's pretty safe to say, from what I've seen floating around and chatting with Death Guard players. It's not that they hate it, they just don't see their Legion in that. In 40k, they're all in Mark 3. In 30k in the past, they've all been in Mark 2 and 3. And now the box set's moving to Mark 6. So the simple workaround to that is my suggestion, which is use upgrade heads for a start on all of the miniatures, get away from the beaky helmets, and then look at just getting, and they're very cheap at the moment, other types of shoulder pads off eBay, Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 4, whatever you can find, and supplementing the force with those, because you want to represent maybe something like Mark 5 Heresy pattern armor, just to say that these guys have been around the sieges, maybe they fought a group of Raven Guard or something, and stole all the armor after the battle to replace and patch their own. The narrative is what you make it, guys. Don't feel bad if you use stock Mark 6 either. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just this is the route that many people have chosen to take. Another good little thing is the Death Shroud Power Scythes upgrades. So, Squad Sergeants works well. You get one in there for a Terminator, which works well considering you have a whole bunch in the box set. And you could also take one, like say the one-handed Power Scythe on the far right there, and it just may so happen to perfectly fit onto the right hand of this miniature. Yeah, do it. Just do it. Get rid of that fucking power sword. It looks like shit. Trust me on that one. In person, he's just huge. It's ridiculous. The size of the Marine. And the Death Guard, you really want to, go all in on that Death Guard look and style. Which, speaking of, Death Guard, Death Shroud, Terminators. So most of this series we've avoided going too far down the here is a whole bunch of Terminator Elite you can take. That changes this episode. Death Guard love Terminators, and the Death Shroud are the coolest of Terminators. These sculpts come all the way back from Book 1. These are some of the oldest sculpts in the range, and they hold up. Now, Death Shroud. Elite's Choice? Check. Command Squad? Check. Awesome kit to make characters out of? Check, check, and check. These guys work really, really well, and they provide a completely different hitting power to regular Cataphracti. These guys are infantry killers. Cataphracti are Terminator, tank, dreadnought killers. Choose your poison. If you want to get bogged down by a horde, use regular Cataphracti, Terminators from the box set. If you want to absolutely annihilate the horde, use these guys, because no amount of Solar Auxilia or Mechanicum Tech Thralls are going to stand in your way. 20-man squads of power armor aren't going to scare you. They are excellent, and very strong in the new edition as well. And of course, they actually work really well as characters. They can be used as a various range of consoles, between decals, the different patterns of armor they're each wearing. If you didn't want to take Death Shroud as Death Shroud in your army, you don't have to. And they make an excellent command squad in the Death Guard. So, yeah, probably one of my favorite units ever in the Horus Heresy, and I think the first unit that I bought that wasn't just stock power armor for games of the Horus Heresy was Death Shroud back, because my first Heresy army that I built for Book 1 was a Death Guard army. It wasn't the first Heresy army I owned, that was Thousand Suns, but these guys were very near and dear to my heart, and I think the only reason I started moving away from them really was, well, two things. One, my painting started to get better, and I was not happy with what I had, which is normal for a lot of people. And the second was they were just becoming so commonplace, I didn't just want to be seen as another Death Guard player. I know whether that's an ego thing or what, but I wanted to get away from it. Now, they're very popular Legion, but it's nowhere near another Death Guard player type of situation, which is nice. But yeah, whole range of different kit available to you. And just to touch on it once more, Callous Typhon, you don't have to use him as Typhon. A Cataphracti armored Praetor with a Death Guard scythe with a hand flamer. Or a Chem Flamer of some kind, Combi Flamer, whatever you prefer. Nothing wrong with using him as that. And hey, you get a character out of it, and you get a HQ out of it. And you can just use him as whichever you want from game to game. What a cool little concept, right? And that's what we want to do with this series. We want to give you ways to create a Legion that is thematic, it looks right, it feels right, and it's the best value for your money if you're going to go down the route of only buying Games Workshop and Forge World miniatures. Obviously, if you step away from that, maybe you're a more mature hobbyist, maybe your wallet doesn't go as far, we will cover that in future episodes, whether it's talking about 3D printing, whether it's talking about third-party parts, all of that is coming. I myself am putting together a range of free 30k STLs, which will give you things like shoulder pads, helmets, that kind of thing, which are not Games Workshop ones, but they're styled similar enough too that they'll look good on your units. Anyway, that's all from me, Mac with the Outer Circle. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next episode.